your headlines tonight. In the dock, Attorney General orders Criminal Investigations Department to arrest Swiss staffer for fabricating evidence. Looking within, President requests media to help government by reporting mistakes and to gauge public opinion. Welcome change. China praises government plans for working committee to review port city legislative framework. Public ire. Protests break out across India as controversial citizenship amendment bill passed. All this and much more coming up tonight on First at 9, this Monday the 16th of December 2019.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
මේ සීන් එකෙන් කට් වෙන්න ඇන්ටිජර් මවුත් වොෂ් සමගින් එන ක්ලෝස් අප් ජෙල් එක ස්ටෝරි එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න.
Hi.
Hi.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to your Monday's edition of the English broadcast of AdaDerana 24. In your top story, the Attorney General has ordered the Criminal Investigations Department to arrest the local Swiss embassy staffer involved in the alleged abduction saga, Ganya Bannister, for fabricating false evidence. She was arrested and produced before the Colombo Magistrates Court after submitting to a court order's psychological assessment at the National Institute of Mental Health.
Ganya Bannister Francis, the local Swiss embassy staffer in the abduction and intimidation incident, was produced before a psychological assessment panel at the National Institute of Mental Health today. Following this, she was questioned once again at the CID and arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department on the orders of the Attorney General before being produced before the Colombo Magistrates Court. Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira ordered the CID to arrest her on charges of fabricating evidence and defaming the government. The charges relate to claims of abduction, intimidation and sexual abuse made by the victim last month that caused a diplomatic storm in the country, with the Criminal Investigation Department discovering discrepancies in the version of events reported by both the Swiss ambassador and the alleged victim. According to the CID's investigations, evidence relating to the victim's movements based on CCTV footage, taxi records and GPS data have shown the incident to have been fabricated.
ජෙල් සීන් ඇක්ෂන් ඇන්ටිජර් මවුත් වොෂ් සමගින් එන ක්ලෝස් අප් ජෙල් එක ස්ටෝරි එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න.
Addressing heads of media institutions at the President's office, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa stated that the state sector requires a change of attitude. He added that public and media contributions are important to bring about such change.
A meeting was called by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa this morning with newspaper editors and heads of electronic media institutions at the President's office. Addressing the gathering, the President focused on the importance of the media in revealing public criticism and highlighting government mistakes so that corrective measures can be implemented. Responding to a question regarding the controversial MCC compact, the President revealed that he expects to appoint a panel of experts to study all aspects of the compact before addressing the issue. The President also added that the mental attitudes within the state sector must be changed and called on the public and media to contribute towards making this change a reality. Questioned regarding the dengue eradication programs implemented by his government, the President stated that instructions have been issued to all provincial governors to work on drawing serious attention to the issue.
රජයක් ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්නට හරි මාර්ගයකට යොමු කරවීම පිටත් වඩා වැදගත්. මාධ්‍ය හරහා හුඟක් ඒවා දැනුම් දෙන්නට පුළුවන්. ජනමතය මොකක්ද කියන එක රජය යම් කිසි වැරදි සිදු වෙනවා නම් ඒව ගැන ලිව්වමත් හොඳයි. මොකද එතකොට ඒක අපිට ඒව හරි ගස්ස ගන්නට ඉවහල් වෙනවා. ඒකේ කිසිම බාධාවක් නැහැ. ඒක හොඳයි කියලා මම හිතනවා. අද හැම දෙයකටම රාජ්‍යාංශය අවශ්‍යයි. රාජ්‍යාංශ කාර්යක්ෂම වීම ඉතාමත් වැදගත්. චර විශාල වෙලා රාජ්‍යාංශයෙන් විය යුතු දේ වෙන්නේ නැත්තම් ඒක ජනතාවගේ සල්ලිනේ මේ හැම එකක්ම මානසික ආකල්පය මේ වෙනසක් රාජ්‍යාංශය තුල ඇති විය යුතුයි. ඒකට ජනතාවත් මේ මාධ්‍යයත් විශාල සේවයක් කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ ආකල්ප වෙනසක් ඇති කිරීම සඳහා.
ඔබතුමා මේ කියන වැඩපිළිවෙලත් එක්ක ඩෙන්ගු මර්ධන වැඩපිළිවෙල සක්‍රිය කිරීම සඳහා යම් කිසි විශේෂ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවාද?
ගවර්නර්ස්ලාට කිව්වා මේ ගැන විශේෂ උනන්දුවක් අරගෙන කරන්න කියලා. අපි දැන් වෙස්ටර්න් ප්‍රොවින්ස් ගවර්නර් ගාක් මේ පිරිසිදු කිරීම ඒවා කරලා තියෙනවා. එතන මදුරුවනොත් ගෙනල්ලා තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ පිරිසිදු කිරීම ඒක ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත්. දැන් ඒ කාර්යය සෑහෙන දුරට හොඳට කරගෙන යනවා.
The President later met the Ambassador of Switzerland in Sri Lanka, Hans-Peter Mock, at the President's office. At the meeting, the President briefed the Ambassador on the ongoing investigations regarding the alleged kidnapping of the Swiss Embassy staffer.
In the backdrop of the arrest of two suspects claiming to have been allegedly involved in white van incidents, the Criminal Investigations Department presented new evidence to the courts today, revealing that a former government minister had offered 1 million rupees each to each of them to take or make these claims. Now, it was also revealed that the two suspects are wanted for murder charges, among other crimes.
During the pre-election period, Minister Rajitha Senaratne identified and named two individuals, Atula Madanayaka and Anthony Douglas Fernando, at a press conference as the duo responsible for carrying out white van abductions. The duo were later arrested in the Kadavatamahar area on the 13th of this month. The CID presented the suspects at the Colombo Magistrate Court today and highlighted evidence proving the claims they made were done based on a promise of a payment of 10 lakhs for each made by Minister Rajitha Senaratne. Following this, the Colombo Magistrate ordered the individuals be remanded till the 27th of December. The suspects had requested the magistrate to provide them with protective custody.
United National Party leader RANIL says that the support of the Buddhist clergy, the middle class and the youth are of paramount importance to the party in the lead-up to the upcoming parliamentary elections. He made these comments while addressing the party's provincial councillors at the party headquarters, where he also urged unsuccessful candidates to make way for fresh faces in order to turn the party's fortunes around at the next election.
A meeting was held today at the United National Party's Sirikoda headquarters, where leader Ranil Wickremesinghe addressed the party's provincial councillors in the lead-up to parliamentary elections early next year.
සමහරු අද අඩපණ වෙලා තියෙනවා මේ ඡන්දේ දිනන්ට අමාරුයි කියලා. මම කියන්නේ අපි පහළට බහැලා වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්නට උවමනයි. ඒ කරනවා නම් අපි ඔක්කොම එකමුතුව වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ. එකමුතුව වැඩ කරන්නේ නැත්නම් ඒ ප්‍රතිඵලය ලබා ගන්නට බැරි වෙනවා. තාමත් ගමට යන්න බෑ කියලා කියන සංවිධායකවරු නැත්නම් ප්‍රාදේශීය සභා මන්ත්‍රීවරු ඉන්නවා නම් ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉවත් එහෙනම් ඒ අයට වෙන අයට අවස්ථා දෙන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේම ගමට ගියාම විශේෂයෙන්ම පන්සලටයි පල්ලියටයි යන්න ඕන සිංහල ප්‍රදේශවල. සංඝ රතනය නැතුව අපිට මෙතෙන්ට යන්න බෑ. මැද පන්තිය නැතුව අපිට යන්න බෑ. තරුණයෝ නැතුව යන්න බෑ. මේකයි පක්ෂයට තියෙන අභියෝගය. අපේ ආණ්ඩුව විශාල සේවයක් කරපු ආණ්ඩුව. අපි ඒව ගැන කතා කරේ නෑ. ඒකයි අපිට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒ වගේම පක්ෂෙත් දැන් අලුත් මුහුණුවරක් ඕනේ. අලුත් නායක පැලැන්තියක් ඕනේ. මමත් කියලා තියෙන්නේ මේක අපම හැමදාම ඉන්නේ නෑ. ඉන්න වොමනාවකුත් නෑ. මුළු පක්ෂය හැටියට සැලැස්මක් දෙන්න කොහොමද ඉදිරියට යන්නේ කියලා. ඒක එකමුතුව දෙන්න ඕනේ. කණ්ඩායම් හැටියට දෙන්න බෑ. ඒ වගේම දැන්ට මම කියලා තියෙනවා පක්ෂයේ ව්‍යවස්ථාවත් සංශෝධන සකස් කරන්න කියලා.
And we have a response from China on the proposed review to its development projects. The Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka praised a decision by the government to set up a working committee to review and accelerate the legislative framework of the Colombo Port City project. A press release to this effect was released yesterday, noting that the Chinese side is willing to guide relevant enterprises to strengthen communication and cooperation with Sri Lanka under the principles of mutual respect and benefit, fairness and justice. The statement further noted that on the basis of the existing framework, the two countries will look to jointly implement the project, to which the leaders of the two countries attach great importance to. The Colombo Port City project is a $1.5 billion foreign direct investment from the Chinese Harbour Engineering Corporation Company under the Belt and Road Initiative. The project has reclaimed 269 hectares from the sea to be incorporated into the district of Colombo and to be developed into a world-class city for South Asia. Do stay with us here on First at 9. We'll return with more news. Ambassador of the European Union to Sri Lanka, Denis Chaibi, along with ambassadors from France, Italy, Romania and Germany, met with Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at Temple Trees this morning. The EU ambassador, during the discussion, touched on key areas of cooperation and development assistance in the agricultural sector and the conducting of an investor dialogue with Sri Lanka.
We would be interested, if you are interested, to have also an election observation mission for the parliamentary elections. Directly under your purview, it is agricultural development. So in this regard, the EU, part of its overall 200 million euro envelope for the financial cycle, has about $40 million project for budget support in agriculture. So it is not a specific project, it is to put $40 million in the Ministry of Agriculture and to see how this can be spent by the Sri Lankan authorities. So the choice of project is the Sri Lankan authorities' criteria for that, and we are working on them with your administration. The first one is an overarching agricultural policy, and I know that your administration has worked a lot. Now it needs to be adopted, and that is directly under your responsibility. So if there's an interest, we're really ready to work very fast with you on that.
Of course, we are very interested in bringing more and more Italian entrepreneurs, investors, so we really welcome the package of incentives that have been delivered these days. We will be doing what is in our power to inform Italian entrepreneurs that there are new possibilities, because there are so many interested, in particular in the manufacturing sector, as you know.
Taking you to business news, the government announced the removal of a consolidated tax of 36 rupees per kilogram on imported wheat flour, replacing it with a special commodity levy of 8 rupees per kilogram. This special commodity levy will come into effect from the 14th of December through a special gazette notification to be issued by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa as the Minister of Finance, Economy and Policy Development. Following the cabinet decision last week on the introduction of the special commodity levy, traders can now import wheat flour directly for sale in the local market. Last week, the cabinet decided to set a maximum retail price of 98 rupees per kilogram of samba and nadu rice, while reducing the duty on wheat flour to enable healthier price competition by enabling the direct importation of wheat flour to the country. Top businessman Ashok Patrage has been appointed as the new chairperson of the country's national carrier, Sri Lankan Airlines, with immediate effect. Ashok Patrage is the chairman and managing director of the SoftLogic Group, a conglomerate that operates in the country's retail, healthcare, financial, leisure and automobile industries. The Ministry of Tourism and Aviation, in a letter addressing Patrage, has appointed him to a position on the company's board and named him as the chairman of the national airline. Taking you to the Colombo Stock Exchange, equities closed 0.56% lower today, dragged down by commercial leasing and finance. The all share price index closed 33.84 points down at 6,055.83, falling throughout the day after a brief gain to a high of 6,088.36 in the first half of trading, or rather during the first half an hour of the day's trade. Over the weekend, the new government released its economic policy document, which favors local industrialization, especially in the construction sector, and bans foreigners from many economic activities. However, the government had previously shown its interest to support the construction industry by cutting taxes. Market turnover for today was 210.7 million rupees, which was a 21-week low. Foreign investors were not active in the market, with net outflows continuing. Today's net outflows amounted to 7.2 million rupees. Based on the market performance, prices of 26 stocks rose and 101 fell. Now, taking a look at the local currency, the Sri Lankan rupee closed week at 181.20 to 181.30 against the US dollar in the spot market today compared to Friday, while gilt yields remained stable. Let's quickly take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. Now, Asian shares were mixed today as investors welcomed a trade agreement between Beijing and Washington over the weekend, but enthusiasm was capped by lingering skepticism about the deal. U.S. Trade representatives stated yesterday that the deal was totally done, notwithstanding some needed revisions, and would nearly double U.S. exports to China over the next couple of years. At the opening bell, the Japanese Nikkei 225 index succumbed to profit-taking, easing 0.1% after surging to a 14-month closing high last Friday. Meanwhile, Hong Kong's Seng shed 0.6% today, while South Korea's composite stock price index added about 0.1%. The Phase 1 agreement suspended a threatened round of U.S. tariffs on a $160 billion list of Chinese imports that was scheduled to take effect yesterday. The United States also agreed to halve the tariff rate to 7.5% on $120 billion worth of Chinese goods. And we'll return with your international and sports news after this break. Do stay with us. In international news, we take you to neighbouring India. Protests have broken out across the Indian state over a controversial citizenship amendment bill that offers minorities fleeing religious persecution full Indian citizenship. However, Muslim groups in the country are protesting the bill, which they claim doesn't offer similar protection to Muslim refugees, rather focusing only on Hindu and Christian refugees. Indian Premier Narendra Modi has appealed for calm as violent protests against the new law continue.
Protests over a new citizenship law based on religion spread to student campuses across India today, as critics said Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government was pushing a partisan agenda in conflict with India's founding as a secular republic. Anger with Modi's Hindu nationalist government was further fueled by allegations of police brutality at the Jamia Millia Islamia University in New Delhi when the officers entered the campus and fired tear gas to break up a protest, injuring at least 100 people. Similar scenes are reported from Aligarh Muslim University in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh, where police clashed with protesters on the campus. Under the law passed by Parliament last week, religious minorities such as Hindus and Christians in neighbouring Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan who settled in India prior to 2015 will have a path to Indian citizenship on grounds of religious persecution. Critics say the law, which does not make the same provision for Muslims, weakens India's secular foundations. Protesters said that they stood in solidarity with fellow students in Delhi who clashed with police yesterday.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was given a hero's welcome as he returned to number 10 Downing Street from Buckingham Palace, where he had asked the Queen for permission to form a new government. Johnson won a resounding election victory on Friday that will allow him to end 3 years of political paralysis and take Britain out of the European Union within weeks. The Brexit divorce represents Britain's biggest political and economic gamble since World War II, cutting the world's fifth largest economy adrift from the vast trading bloc and testing the integrity of the United Kingdom. For Boris Johnson, who had faced gridlock in Parliament and focused his campaign on a vow to get Brexit done, victory was a vindication. Also in international news, U.S. Special Envoy for North Korea Stephen BIEGUN urged Pyongyang today to return offers of talks, dismissing leader Kim Jong-un's year-end deadline while highlighting Washington's willingness to discuss all issues of interest. Tension has been rising in recent weeks as Pyongyang has conducted a series of weapons tests and waged a war of words with the United States. President Donald Trump stoking fears the two countries could return to a collision course that they had been on before launching diplomacy last year.
BIEGUN arrived in Seoul yesterday amid speculation that he might try to salvage negotiations by reaching out to North Korea, which has vowed to take an unspecified new path if Washington fails to soften its stance before the end of the year.
It is time for us to do our jobs. Let's get this done. We are here, and you know how to reach us. We are fully aware of the strong potential for North Korea to conduct a major provocation in the days ahead. To say the least, such an action will be most unhelpful in achieving a lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. In their statements, much has been said about North Korea's end-of-the-year deadline. On this point, let me be absolutely clear. The United States does not have a deadline. We have a goal: to fulfill the commitments the two leaders made during their historic summit meeting in Singapore.
And we take you to sports now. Cricketer Ben Stokes was voted the 2019 BBC Sports Personality of the Year yesterday for his World Cup winning and Ashes heroics during the summer. The all-rounder won the prestigious award, which is voted for annually by the British public.
Of course, and that's great champion Ben Stokes.
And Stokes won for his incredible feats for an England side that also landed the Team of the Year award. The 28-year-old was man of the match for his brilliant innings in both the run chase and decisive super over that saw England's men win the World Cup for the first time in a dramatic final against New Zealand at Lord's. He then topped that by playing one of the greatest match-winning test innings against Australia, his 185 not out that guided England to the most nail-biting and unlikely one-wicket victory at Headingley. Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton finished runner-up in the voting, while sprinter Dina Asher-Smith, the world 200 meters champion, was third. Marathon runner Eud Kipchoge, who became the first person to compete a marathon in under 20 hours in October, was named the World Sports Star of the Year.
Of course.
And Mark Van Bommel has been sacked as head coach of PSV Eindhoven after 2 wins in 8 games in the Dutch league. PSV are 4th in the league, 10 points behind leaders Ajax, and lost 3-1 to Feyenoord on Sunday. Ex-Barcelona and Netherlands midfielder Van Bommel, 42, who won 4 league titles in 2 playing stints at PSV, replaced Philippe Cocu in June 2018. The continuous series of negative results is a decline too large and unworthy of PSV, the club said. Van Bommel's temporary successor is expected to be announced later today. And that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9 for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.